What are your goals when it comes to raising the bar with global tournaments?
It depends on what you mean by global tournaments. As far as our actual league goes, again, part of that is just tightening the show, taking the show to the next level, so to speak. As far as I'm concerned, until we're beating the NFL, we haven't arrived, right? So everything we can do to tighten the show to that point, to be that seamless, to include those kinds of elements, bringing the show to new viewers. We actually find that a lot of our viewers are not actually World of Tanks players, and we're fine with that. That's fine for us. So engaging those viewers in a way that they can watch and experience the game without having played it. That's a pretty big focus, delivering that experience to the viewer, explaining what's actually going on without them ever having to have played the game. And if they're interested in our product, that's great. Otherwise, they're a viewer, and we're great with that too.
You mentioned trying to compete with the NFL. What are your thoughts on esports events being held inside professional sporting stadiums?
That's kind of immediately almost on the horizon, so to speak, especially for League of Legends with Riot. I think for us in Europe or Russia, totally doable. And again, having done it in a massive theater, one of the largest in Europe, that's kind of the next step. There aren't too many places we can go now other than to inside a professional stadium. It's obvious that it's going to happen. It already kind of has in the Staples Center, So I don't feel like I really have to argue that it's going to happen because it kind of already has. It was sold out in an hour by Riot. So that's obvious, right? And there are already, I can't name locations, but there are already some cities making bids actually to have esports events hosted in them because no one's really blind to where it's going, right? Everyone knows where it's headed. So it's just a matter of time.
What opportunities do you see for World of War planes in esports?
I think until World of Warplanes has a really sizable audience, it's hard to say. I think we never want to force esports onto a title. The title kind of has to develop on its own, be a great game, have a great community of its own, and then once they're crying for that competitive scene, then we're going to bring it in. But until then, we don't feel like we have to force it onto every one of our titles. We'll just wait and see how each title plays out in of itself, and then determine from there.
How do you utilize live streaming for your esports titles?
Well, pretty much everything we do esports-wise is live streamed, with the one exception of community tournaments, which are designed specifically for players to just play and have fun, win some in-game goods. Anything on the pro side or even on the higher competitive scene is generally streamed. That's our primary source of viewership, whether that be on Twitch or YouTube, etc. That's what we focus on, is streaming our events. That's the whole point of what we do.
What impact has esports had on growing your audience of players?
So some of the biggest return we see is the engagement of existing viewers, or users, sorry. They tend to stay a lot longer, they play a lot longer. That's huge. I mean, the importance of that cannot be overstated, right? So that's a massive thing for us. But also, in conjunction with that, after major events like the Grand Finals in Poland we just talked about, we see a massive spike, similar to any other company that I've mentioned that runs esports, right? We see a massive spike in CCU afterwards, concurrent users. So the amount of people playing our game actually increases very significantly after an event, which is a huge boon to us. Again, obviously, right? You don't have to connect the dots there. Plus, we have this channel that we've built out, where we're basically the ESPN and the NFL for ourselves, right? So it also gives us a great platform to engage with our partners and our customers, to provide them another way to interact with our game outside of just playing with it, and our brand overall outside of just playing our game. So there are actually an innumerable amount of benefits, if you will. Esports is kind of like the pyramid that brings it all together.